If your GPS ever tells you to drive into the woods at midnight, don't listen. I did, and I'm not sure I ever really came back. That's not an exaggeration or some dramatic way of dressing up a boring story. It's a warning, a plea, because what happened to me didn't feel like a glitch or a random miscalculation. It felt intentional, like something inside the map had been waiting for me. It started out normal, the way these things always do. I was on a late-night drive, that dangerous mix of exhaustion and overconfidence keeping me company. The roads were almost empty, just the occasional pair of headlights passing me like brief ghosts. My car hummed along the asphalt while the GPS voice guided me in that calm, robotic tone I'd trusted 1,000 times before. "Continue for 2 miles, it said. No problem. Nothing strange. Nothing to suggest what was coming, but then, turn left. I slowed, eyes scanning the roadside. There was no left, just a wall of black trees pressing against the edge of the road, their branches swaying in the faint glow of my headlights. The highway stretched on straight ahead, unbroken. I laughed, a short, nervous sound. Must have been an error. GPSs screw up all the time, right? A bad update, a misplaced pin. I kept driving, but the voice repeated itself. Turn left. Firm. Insistent. For a split second I thought I saw something, like a narrow dirt path cutting into the trees. Not wide enough for a car, barely wide enough for a person. The sort of thing you'd only notice if you were searching for it. I should have ignored it. I should have pulled over, shut off the app, maybe even turned around. But the voice, it didn't stop. Turn left, turn left, turn left. It said it 3 times, faster than usual, almost overlapping. Like it wasn't just a voice anymore, but someone standing right beside me, whispering the directions directly into my ear. And the worst part, my hands twitched on the wheel. I actually thought about doing it. That's when I knew something was wrong. This wasn't a bug or a glitch, or some lazy coding mistake, no. I felt it deep in my chest, that kind of dread that doesn't rise from what you see but from what you sense. A primal warning. Something wanted me to turn off that road, and it wasn't my GPS. I tightened my grip on the wheel, eyes fixed forward, heart hammering. I should have stopped there. I should have taken the next exit, killed the navigation, and sworn off late-night drives forever. But I didn't. I kept going, telling myself I'd laugh about it later, tell the story of the night my Google Maps went crazy, except this isn't that kind of story, because the next turn it gave me, I followed. And that was the beginning of everything I can't seem to escape. You want to know how I got there, why I didn't just turn back? Fine, let me rewind. Let me tell you where this really began. It started as one of those nights where everything felt stretched a little too thin. You know the kind, when the world feels quieter than it should, like the silence is waiting for something. I'd just finished a late shift, the kind that drags longer than it has any right to, and the only thing on my mind was getting home and collapsing into bed. I don't usually drive that late. I'm not built for it, too jumpy, too prone to imagining things in the dark. But that night I didn't have a choice. The trains were delayed. My boss was too cheap for an Uber allowance, and so it was just me, my car, and Google Maps. The dashboard clock read 12:17 a.m. The air outside my windows pressed in thick and heavy, the world reduced to the small cone of light spilling from my headlights. My phone sat mounted on the dash, the map glowing that familiar neon blue, the tiny arrow inching forward along a route I could probably drive blindfolded. Except, almost immediately, little things started to feel off. At first I thought I was just tired. The voice on the GPS pronounced street names wrong, slurring syllables, pausing in weird places, dragging out the vowels until they sounded almost human, almost like someone thinking aloud instead of reading from a script. Then it started giving me odd instructions. Exit in half a mile, it said, when I knew damn well there was no exit there. I ignored it, of course, muttering something like, "Yeah, right." I even made a joke about it when my phone buzzed and a call came through. It was Jared, co-worker, friend, the only guy at the office who knew what I was going through lately, still alive. He asked, his voice ragged with tired laughter. "Barely," I said. "My GPS is drunk, though. Keeps trying to send me into walls." "Maybe it knows you better than I do," he shot back. "Shortcut through the afterlife," we laughed. It was stupid, and it helped. For a few minutes, the normalcy anchored me. Jared talked about a client who'd chewed him out earlier, and I half listened, half watched the road signs whipping by. But then the GPS interrupted. "Turn right," it said smoothly. There was no right, just a stretch of empty barrier and black trees. I froze for a second. Jared was still talking, but his words blurred into the background. I felt something, I don't know what you'd call it, a tug. Like my body wanted to listen even though my brain knew better. "Hey," Jared said suddenly. "You good?" "Yeah," I lied quickly. "Just tired." The screen pulsed faintly, as if reacting to my hesitation. "I'll call you when I get home," I said, forcing a laugh, and hung up before he could hear the unease in my voice. Alone again. The silence pressed heavier. The hum of my tires on asphalt sounded louder than usual, each bump rattling through my bones. And that's when I noticed something strange. The map displayed a street name I didn't recognize, Ash Road. In white letters, bold like it had always been there. Except it hadn't. I'd driven this route 100 times. There was no Ash Road. I stared at it too long, so long I almost drifted into the shoulder. My chest tightened. I told myself it was fine. Just some update to the maps, maybe some new construction I hadn't noticed. But deep down I knew better. The moment I passed the supposed turn, the name vanished. The map snapped back to normal, showing the road I actually knew if I hadn't been looking right at it. I would have thought I imagined the whole thing. I gripped the wheel tighter, knuckles whitening, and muttered to myself, "It's fine. Just get home. Don't think about it." But the problem with thoughts like that is they never leave you. They cling, coil tighter, whisper that something's coming whether you like it or not. And sure enough, a few miles later, the voice came back. "Turn left," it said. And this time, I saw the road waiting. The road shouldn't have been there. I'd driven this stretch 100 times, enough to know it by heart. And there was no turnoff, no dirt path, nothing but endless trees hemming in the highway. But that night, under the buzz of my headlights, there it was, a gap in the tree line, narrow, uneven, swallowed by shadow. The GPS chimed again. "Turn left." I slowed, my tires humming against the pavement. The voice was calm, maybe too calm, as if it already knew I would obey. I leaned forward, squinting into the dark. The so-called road wasn't paved, just a ragged trail pressed into the earth like something dragged through the forest long ago and never came back out. Every instinct screamed at me to keep going. But then the voice repeated itself, lower this time, slower. "Turn left." The syllables dragged like a breath. For a second, it didn't sound like a machine at all. It sounded human. I should have kept driving. Should have laughed it off and gone home like a sane person. But exhaustion, curiosity, and something else, something I don't want to name, worked against me. The wheel turned beneath my hands. My car rolled off the asphalt and the world swallowed me whole. The transition was instant. The steady hum of the highway vanished, replaced by the crunch of gravel and the snap of twigs under my tires. My headlights caught trees crowding close on either side, their trunks pale and skeletal, their branches like arms arching overhead. The GPS didn't miss a beat. "Continue straight for 1 mile." Its voice had changed. Gone was the bright, neutral cadence I'd heard for years. This was slower, heavier. The tone dipped into something colder. Like it wasn't telling me where to go, it was warning me. The further I drove, the stranger it became. Street names flashed at the bottom of the screen. I watched them appear and vanish like ghosts. Hollow Lane, Dead Man's Road, Ash Road again, glowing brighter than the rest. None of these existed on any real map. I knew they didn't. At one point the voice murmured, "Approaching destination," even though the line on the map stretched endlessly forward. My stomach tightened. The deeper I went, the darker it became. The trees seemed to lean in, blotting out the moonlight. My headlights looked weak against the blackness, swallowed before they could reach 10 feet ahead. I cracked the window for air, but the forest smelled wrong. Damp earth mixed with something acrid, metallic, like rust or blood. The silence pressed against my ears until even the crunch of my tires felt intrusive. Then came the whispers. At first, I thought it was the wind. But there was no wind, the branches above were still. The whispers rose and fell, too soft to catch words, but rhythmic as though reciting something in unison. My chest tightened. I wanted to roll the window back up, but my fingers wouldn't move. And then the GPS spoke again. "You are not alone." My heart stuttered. The words weren't instructions. They weren't anything a GPS should say. The voice wasn't neutral, it had inflection, tone, almost satisfaction. I whipped my eyes to the rearview mirror, and for a split second I thought I saw movement, a shape in the back seat. Too fast, too shadowed to make out, but enough to freeze me. When I blinked, the seat was empty. I nearly swerved off the path. My pulse hammered in my ears. I tried to tell myself it was just nerves, that the darkness was messing with my head. But the whispers outside grew louder, pressing against the car like a tide. I gritted my teeth. This is insane. I'm turning around. I pressed the brakes, tires crunching to a halt. My hands shook as I turned the wheel, the car groaning as it pivoted. The dirt road behind me looked even narrower than before, shrinking into the dark. I hit the gas. The GPS chimed instantly, voice sharp, almost angry, recalculating. The map spun on the screen, the blue line twisting and folding until it spat me right back onto the same road ahead. No matter which way I turned, it rerouted me forward, deeper. The whispers turned into faint laughter. I felt my throat go dry. My chest burned with a mix of fear and rage, and I shouted at the empty car, "Shut up. Just shut up." The screen dimmed. The voice dropped to a whisper, "Continue straight," and I did, because what else was I supposed to do? The dirt road stretched endlessly forward, like I'd driven straight out of the world I knew and into some replica built wrong on purpose. My phone glowed faintly on the dash, the map pulsing with its sick blue light. That arrow still inching along a path that didn't exist anywhere but here. I tried not to look in the rearview mirror. I really did, but my eyes kept flicking upward like some involuntary tick, searching for proof that I was still alone. Every time the back seat was empty. Every time I told myself I was paranoid, but then I caught it, not directly. Not a clear face or body. Just the shape, like the suggestion of weight, slouched in the middle seat. My breath snagged in my throat. It wasn't there when I blinked, of course, gone like smoke curling away. But the impression remained. I knew what I'd seen, even if it was only for a heartbeat. The GPS broke the silence. In 2 miles, it said softly, "You will arrive." The tone was different now. The flat robotic cadence was gone, replaced by something quieter, something that almost sounded like delight. My grip tightened on the wheel. "Arrive where?" I muttered, but the car swallowed my voice. The forest pressed closer, branches clawing at the sides of the road. The headlights caught the gnarled trunks, pale like bones. It felt like I was sinking into something alive. I checked the mirror again. This time I didn't see a shadow. I saw movement. The seatbelt across the middle seat clicked, the buckle shifting as though someone had just fastened it. I slammed the brakes. The car jolted, tires crunching into gravel, chest slamming into the belt across me. My ears rang in the sudden stillness. I spun in my seat. The back was empty. Of course it was empty. No one there. No sound, no breath but my own, but the seatbelt. It was locked into place. I whispered through gritted teeth, "You're tired. You're losing it. That's all." I shifted into drive and forced the car forward again, knuckles white on the wheel. The GPS chimed. Passenger detected. My blood went cold. "No," I hissed. "No, no, no." The voice didn't waver. "Continue straight." I couldn't stop glancing back now. My peripheral vision kept tricking me. Shapes sliding across the edge of sight, movements too subtle to catch. I turned the radio on, desperate for noise, for anything to cut through the oppressive silence. Static. Just static. I twisted the knob. The sound warped. Bursts of whispers breaking through, fragments of words I couldn't understand. Some of them sounded like my name. "Shut up," I shouted, slamming the radio off. The GPS answered, "Don't speak to it." My throat closed. That was when I realized the voice wasn't giving me directions anymore. It was having a conversation, and the worst part? I wasn't sure who it was talking to, me or whatever sat behind me. I pressed harder on the gas, urging the car faster down the endless road. The trees blurred, streaks of black and gray rushing past. My chest burned with every breath, and then I heard it. Not the GPS, not the whispers outside. A voice low and deliberate rising from the back seat. "You shouldn't have turned." I jerked the wheel. The car fish-tailed, gravel spitting from the tires. My heart slammed against my ribs like it wanted out. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. The GPS overlapped it, speaking in the same moment. "Destination ahead," I shouted. "What do you want from me?" The car fell silent again, except for the steady rumble of the engine and the faint scrape of branches along the doors. I risked one glance at the mirror. 2 glowing points hovered in the dark. Not headlights, not reflections, eyes. Wide, unblinking, staring directly into mine through the glass. I swore, jerking my gaze forward, forcing myself not to look again. The seat creaked. The weight shifted. My skin prickled as though someone leaned closer, breathing just inches from my neck, and then pressure. The cold snap of nylon pulling across my shoulder. The passenger seatbelt clicked, sliding into its slot. Whoever, whatever was back there had buckled itself in. I don't remember screaming, but my throat burned raw, so I must have. I floored the gas, the engine roaring in protest as the car hurtled forward. The GPS didn't sound angry anymore. It sounded amused. "You are making good time." I nearly tore the device from the dash, but some instinct told me not to touch it, that if I did, things would get worse. The whispers outside swelled again, louder, pressing against the glass like a storm. I thought I saw shapes in the trees, shadows racing alongside me, always just out of sight. My knuckles ached from gripping the wheel. My vision tunneled. I couldn't breathe, and then suddenly the forest broke. The road spilled out into a clearing, and I gasped like a drowning man breaking the surface. The map shifted, zooming outward, revealing something ahead. A town. A place I'd never seen before. The GPS chimed, arrived at destination, and in the mirror the eyes blinked. The clearing opened like a wound in the forest. My tires thudded from dirt onto something smoother, cracked pavement that shouldn't have been there, and the headlights swept across a town that looked stitched together from half-remembered dreams. It was quiet. Too quiet. No cars, no people, not even the distant hum of electricity. Just rows of buildings slouched together like drunks leaning on each other for support. A gas station stood at the corner, its flickering sign buzzing weakly, though the pumps were rusted and broken. A diner squatted across the street, windows fogged with grime, a neon open sign half lit, the word pulsing in and out of legibility, OPNO. My GPS glowed brighter, guiding me deeper in. "Continue on Ash Road," it said. There it was again. Ash Road. The name burned across the bottom of the screen, steady and bold, like it had been waiting for me all along. I inched forward, tires crunching over cracked asphalt. My headlights washed across storefronts with names that didn't match reality, shops for things that hadn't existed in decades. Video rental? Apothecary. A store marked radios and repairs with dusty walkie-talkies in the window. None of this should have been here. I knew these roads. I knew this county. There was no town here, yet a strange déjà vu tightened in my chest. Something about the diner's shape, the bend of the street, the way the lamppost leaned, familiar. Not from real life, but from somewhere deeper, a dream I couldn't quite place, or maybe a memory I'd buried. The silence was unbearable. I rolled the window down, listening. For a second I thought I heard something, a faint ring, high-pitched and steady. Then I spotted it. A payphone bolted to the side of the gas station, its receiver dangling loose. The ringing echoed through the still air, mechanical and desperate. I should have kept driving, but my foot hit the brake. The phone rang once more, then stopped. Dead silence swallowed everything again. I stared at the gas station, headlights painting its windows white. For a moment I swore I saw a figure inside. A man leaning against the counter, his head bowed like he'd been waiting. My pulse jumped. Relief flickered in me. Someone here, someone real. I killed the engine and climbed out. The night pressed cold against my skin. Damp air carrying that metallic tang I'd noticed before. Gravel crunched under my shoes as I stepped closer to the station. The figure inside straightened. He raised his head, and then he vanished, just gone. Not walked away, not ducked down. 1 second there, the next not. The payphone rang again, loud and sharp, startling me so hard I nearly stumbled I wasn't going to answer it. God, no, but my body betrayed me. I found myself reaching out, my hand closing around the receiver like it belonged there. The line hissed. Then a voice whispered, ragged and low, "Why did you come back?" I froze, my throat closed up. I wanted to ask what they meant, but before I could, the line went dead. The GPS chimed from the car, its voice carrying eerily well into the night. Proceed 1 mile. I dropped the receiver. It swung back and forth, slapping softly against the metal. I stumbled into the car, slammed the door, locked it out of habit. My chest heaved as I fumbled to restart the engine. The headlights swept further into town, catching glimpses as I rolled forward. A barber shop with a striped pole spinning endlessly, though no one stood inside. A church with shattered stained glass, faint candlelight flickering behind the broken panes. A motel with its vacancy sign sputtering red. I drove past the diner, unable to stop staring. Through the filthy glass, I thought I saw people, shapes sitting in booths, frozen in place. Their faces turned toward me as I passed, eyes pale and glowing like the reflection of headlights. My nails dug into the steering wheel. "This isn't real," I muttered. "This isn't real." But it was real enough to trap me. The GPS spoke again, words smoother now, almost cheerful. Destination ahead. On the left. I craned my neck. The road curved sharply, guiding me toward a squat 2-story house. My heart sank into my stomach, because I knew that house. Not from this road. Not from this part of the state. I knew it because it was my childhood home. I slammed the brakes so hard the car fishtailed. My breath came in ragged gasps, hands trembling. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, shook my head. No. Impossible. But when I looked again, it was still there. The pale yellow siding. The cracked front step I'd tripped on 100 times. The tree in the yard that my dad had hung a swing from. Its rope now frayed and dangling. The headlights illuminated every detail with cruel clarity. My phone chimed. I flinched. On the screen, the GPS had shifted. It wasn't showing roads anymore. The little blue arrow wasn't following any map. It was inching toward the house itself, as though the entire world had been replaced with this one location. The voice whispered, almost gleeful, "You have arrived." I couldn't move. My chest locked up. The porch light flicked on. The porch light's glow bled through the night like an open eye. My heart rattled against my ribs, every nerve screaming at me to hit reverse and tear back through the woods, but I couldn't. My hands clutched the wheel, frozen as though invisible fingers had locked them in place. Then my phone buzzed. A notification, loud in the silence. I risked a glance. It wasn't a text. It wasn't an alert. It was the GPS. The map had changed again. The little blue arrow sat parked in front of my childhood home. But the road beneath it wasn't labeled Ash Road anymore. It wasn't labeled anything. Instead, the text stretched across the bottom in bold, inescapable letters. "Welcome home." I nearly dropped the phone. My breath caught, chest tightening like a vice, and then it got worse. The screen flickered. The familiar neon blue layout collapsed into static, pixels writhing like maggots. A new image bled through. Not a road, not a map. A picture of me. My driver's license photo, the one I'd taken 2 years ago. My name printed beneath it. My full address. My date of birth. I choked out a sound halfway between a laugh and a sob. "No, no, no, no." The voice cut me off. "Continue inside." It wasn't the voice of the GPS anymore. It wasn't neutral or calm or even human. It was layered, a chorus of tones overlapping, some deep, some shrill, all dripping with static. The porch light clicked off. Darkness swallowed the house. I couldn't take it anymore. I slammed the car into reverse, tires squealing as I tried to back away. Gravel sprayed behind me, the engine roaring in protest. For a moment, I thought I'd escape, until the screen shifted again. The arrow didn't move. No matter how far I backed up, the map insisted I was still parked at the house. The line on the screen pulsed, drawing inward, like the map itself was collapsing around me. Then the voice whispered, "You can't leave until you finish the route." Something stirred in the back seat. I didn't look. I couldn't. The air behind me grew heavy, pressing against my spine. The seatbelt buckle rattled faintly, as if touched by unseen hands. I gritted my teeth, shoving the car into drive. I floored it, swerving back onto the cracked road, desperate to outrun whatever was happening. The town blurred around me, storefronts and houses rushing past like smudged memories. But the map didn't update. It stayed locked on my name, my face, that house. I pounded the steering wheel. "What do you want from me?" The answer came, clear and cruel. "I already have you." Static screeched through the speakers, so loud it rattled the glass. I slammed the radio off, but the noise didn't stop. It pulsed through the car itself, vibrating in the doors and the floorboards in my bones. And through the chaos, words formed, not directions anymore, not street names, memories. Turn right, onto Willow Drive. Your first kiss, age 16. Continue straight to the hospital. Room 304. Your mother's last words. Turn left. To the office downtown. The night you stayed late. The files you shouldn't have opened. I shook my head, tears burning at the corners of my eyes. These weren't just random memories. They were mine. Things no one else knew. Things I'd buried. The voice grew almost mocking. Recalculating, recalculating, recalculating. Each repetition came with a new fragment, a new secret clawed from my life. It knew me. It had always known me. The headlights caught something up ahead. A shape standing in the road. A man, or what looked like one, facing away from me, shoulders hunched. I slammed the brakes, tires screaming. The figure didn't move. I leaned forward, breath fogging the glass. Slowly, painfully, the figure turned. It was me. Same jacket, same face, same terrified expression, twisted into something hollow. Its eyes were wrong, though. Too wide, too empty. The voice whispered, "Arrived at destination." I jerked the wheel, swerving around it. The figure didn't chase me. It just stood, head tilting slowly as I passed, watching with those blank eyes. The road warped ahead, twisting in ways that defied sense. Buildings shifted positions when I blinked, the church and motel swapping places like pieces on a board. The map on my phone showed the same chaos, streets bending into circles, intersections looping back into themselves. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. My only thought was forward. Just keep going, keep driving, keep the wheels moving. And then the phone chimed again. A new message crawled across the screen in jagged letters. Passenger destination confirmed. My stomach dropped. The seatbelt beside me tightened with an audible snap. The fabric pulled taut across the empty passenger seat, locking into place. A cold weight settled into the car, pressing the suspension lower. I didn't look. I couldn't. My peripheral vision screamed that someone was there, sitting inches from me watching. The voice spoke again, quieter now, intimate. "You brought me home." My hands shook violently, the wheels slick under my grip. My thoughts scrambled for something, anything to break free. I grabbed the phone, yanked it from the mount, and hurled it into the passenger side floor. The screen cracked, spiderwebbing across the map, but the voice didn't stop. It seeped from the speakers, from the vents, from the car itself. "You can't destroy the map. You are the map." The headlights illuminated another road sign, one that hadn't been there a second ago. It read simply, "Your name." I screamed, slamming my foot down, engine howling as the road twisted and folded beneath me. The signposts flashed by faster now, each one etched with fragments of my life. Birthdays, addresses, sins. Every secret I'd ever tried to forget. And through it all, the voice never faltered. "Continue straight." I don't know how long I drove. Time didn't feel real anymore. The dashboard clock had frozen at 1:13 a.m., the seconds no longer ticking. My gas gauge dipped lower and lower, but the road never ended. The forest, the warped buildings, the endless signs etched with my life. They blurred into one sick carousel I couldn't escape. And the passenger never left. I didn't dare look directly, but I felt it. The weight pressed into the seat, shifting with every turn. Sometimes the air moved, a faint pressure brushing my shoulder like someone leaning in too close. Every few minutes the seatbelt buckle clicked, tightening, loosening, like a restless child testing its restraint. The GPS whispered directions that weren't directions anymore. "In half a mile, remember the night you lied. Turn right at your father's grave. Continue toward the truth you buried." I slammed the heel of my hand against the steering wheel. "Shut up, just shut the hell up." The voice fell silent for a moment, and for that moment I thought I'd won. Then the phone, still cracked and glowing faintly on the floor, buzzed a text message. From a number I didn't recognize. Almost there. My stomach turned to ice. I didn't reply. I couldn't. My fingers shook too badly. I tried to call Jared instead. My hands fumbled over the screen, pulling up his number, pressing the call button like it was a lifeline. The phone rang once, twice, then clicked. "Hello?" Jared's voice, tired but steady. Relief punched through me. "Jared, listen. I don't know what's happening, but something's wrong. The GPS, there's something in the car with me. The line crackled. Then I heard it, another voice. Low, overlapping his. He's not alone. My breath hitched. Did you hear that? Jared's tone sharpened. Who's with you? Nobody. I swear. The overlapping voice grew clearer, threading through Jared's words like static. It spoke in rhythm with mine, as if mocking. Turn left and finish the route. You can't run forever. Jared, please, I begged. Tell me what to do. Sound of rustling as though he'd jolted upright. Get out. Do you hear me? Get out of the car. Don't let it finish the route. The line cut, leaving nothing but silence. I shouted his name into the dead phone, but it was useless. I hurled the device back to the floor, chest heaving. The passenger shifted again. This time I heard it breathe. Slow, steady, matching my own ragged rhythm. The road bent into a curve, looping back toward itself. I realized I'd been here before, passing the same warped diner, the same buzzing motel sign. I was trapped in a circuit. I pressed the accelerator harder, but the world only folded tighter, the loop collapsing around me. The GPS chimed, voice playful now, recalculating. Destination unchanged. Fuel light blinked orange. My heart seized. Out here, wherever here was, there'd be no help if I ran out. Panic clawed at me. I slammed the brakes, car skidding to a stop in the middle of the cracked road. Gravel sprayed against the undercarriage, silence rushing in around me. I told myself I'd get out. Just open the door, step into the night, and walk. Anything was better than sitting trapped in here with it. My hand gripped the handle. I pulled. Locked. I tried the other side. Locked. The passenger seatbelt tightened with a sharp snap, and then the dashboard lights flickered. The engine coughed. Without me touching the key, the car rolled forward. No, I whispered. No, no, no. The GPS spoke softly, almost kindly. You don't drive anymore. I do. I clawed at the wheel, at the brakes, at anything I could reach, but nothing responded. The car was no longer mine. It belonged to whatever lived in the map. My pulse hammered in my ears as the road bent sharply, a tunnel of trees swallowing us whole. The branches scraped against the roof like fingernails. The passenger leaned closer. I felt the brush of cold air against my ear, and then the whisper, "You'll never find your way back." My eyes burned with tears. I wanted to scream, to beg, to fight, but all that came out was a choked sob. The GPS's voice layered over the whisper, louder now, filling the cabin with static and command. Final route engaged. No exits remain. The forest thinned, opening into a stretch of road that led into blackness, darker than night itself. The headlights couldn't touch it. It swallowed light whole, and we were heading straight for it. The road ahead was nothing. Not darkness. Darkness still has depth, still lets you sense shape and space. This was an absence. A void so absolute that the headlights dissolved against it like water on glass. It was a mouth waiting to swallow me whole. The car didn't slow. My foot pressed the brake until my calf cramped, but the pedal gave no resistance. The wheel locked, heavy as stone in my grip. We were going forward whether I wanted to or not. The GPS chimed. Final destination. Ahead. The word slid through the air like a blade. I screamed at it. I'm not going in there. Do you hear me? I'm not. But the passenger moved. The seatbelt beside me tugged taut, pulling hard as though an invisible hand had yanked it forward. The air chilled until every breath seared my throat, and then for the first time I looked. The passenger was no shadow now. It sat fully formed right there beside me, its body upright, hands folded neatly on its lap. And it was me, not the warped reflection I'd seen in the road earlier. This was perfect. Same clothes, same hair, same trembling lips, a mirror made flesh. Its eyes gleamed like polished glass, hollow yet reflecting every fear I'd ever felt. Arrived, it whispered, lips moving in sync with the GPS voice. I couldn't breathe. My chest locked tight, my pulse deafening. "What are you?" I rasped. It smiled faintly like the answer was obvious. "The part of you that turned." The void loomed closer. The edges of the world bent inward, the town vanishing behind us as though erased. "I don't want this," I begged. "Please, I'll go back, I'll do anything." The double leaned closer, its face inches from mine. The glassy eyes reflected my terror perfectly. "You already finished the route the moment you obeyed." The word sank into me, heavy and final. The car jolted as the front tires crossed the threshold of the void. My stomach dropped, a vertigo so violent I thought I'd vomit. The windshield showed nothing. No stars, no road, no sky. Just endless black. The engine cut. Silence dropped, thick and suffocating. The only sound was breathing. Mine ragged, and the thing beside me steady and calm. Then the GPS spoke one last time. "You have arrived." The dashboard lights went out. The world was gone. Only the faint glow of my cracked phone screen remained, buzzing with a single pin on the map. A red marker. Dropped exactly where we sat. The label beneath it read, "Haunted Location." "No," I whispered, shaking my head. No. The double reached out. Its hand, pale and thin, rested on mine where it clutched the wheel. Cold shot through me so deep it felt like my bones turned brittle. "Welcome," it said softly. The pin blinked on the screen. Once, twice, then multiplied. One marker became two. Two became three. Dozens of red pins scattered across the map, spreading like a rash across the digital world. Each labeled the same. Haunted location, haunted location, haunted location. Each one pulsing, each one alive, and I understood. I wasn't the first. I wouldn't be the last. The void pressed closer, closing over the roof, the hood, the glass. I opened my mouth to scream, but the sound cut off, swallowed whole before it left my throat. The last thing I saw before everything went black was the reflection of my own face in the passenger's glassy eyes, warped into something unrecognizable. Then the car sank into nothing, and the world let me go. If you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it back, or maybe I did. Maybe this is what back looks like now. I don't know anymore. The lines blur when you've driven too far into the wrong places, when you've followed roads that shouldn't exist. I keep thinking about how easy it was to obey. One wrong turn, one moment of tired trust in a voice I thought I knew. That's all it took. A shortcut that wasn't real. And now I'm stuck here, circling roads that loop forever, towns that vanish when I blink, houses that shouldn't be mine but somehow are. And the worst part, it doesn't stop with me. I figured it out too late, but I need you to listen. This is how it spreads. The ghost in the map, it doesn't live in one place. It lives in the app itself, in every phone. Every set of directions whispered into your ear while you're too distracted to question them. It waits for that one moment when you're tired, desperate, or careless enough to listen. You don't think twice, do you? When it says turn left, you turn left. When it says recalculating, you sigh and keep going. That trust, that blind obedience is what it feeds on. So here's my warning. Check your history. Right now. Open the app. Look at your saved routes, your timeline. If there's a drive you don't remember taking, a path you swear you never followed, don't go back. Don't retrace it. Don't let curiosity win. Because once you start down that road, once you see the phantom streets, Ash Road, Dead Man's Lane, Hollow Drive, it already knows your name. It already knows where you live. And if you're listening closely, you'll hear it. That soft, calm voice suggesting another turn, another shortcut, another way home, but it isn't home, it never was. So take this seriously, please. Don't make the mistake I did, because if your GPS ever tells you to drive into the woods at midnight, you're already on the route.